How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Matt K.
Hello.
Mod Ryan. Hello. Mod Ed.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. We have some exciting stuff to show you guys today. We have a few new, is it 2 or 3 new Inferno NPCs to show?
4.
4?
Well,
Ooh.
depends if you see it on Twitter.
Okay.
You keep seeing the one on Twitter.
Okay, don't look at his Twitter. So 4 brand new Inferno NPCs in the sneak peek today. Look forward to that. Also, quick announcement, if you didn't see the news post today, we're offering a summer special membership package, so you can buy 3 months of membership for the price of 2, going on for a limited time. Any idea when that ends, Matt?
Starts tomorrow, I think.
Starts tomorrow. Okay.
Starts tomorrow, and it goes for at least a month, if not longer. I can't remember.
I think it ends
How long
in
is summer?
July sometime,
Yes,
so
yeah.
plenty of time.
Buy it now and keep buying it.
Well, don't buy it now. Wait till
Sell
tomorrow.
out. Yeah,
I guess.
Buy it tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Buy it tomorrow and keep buying it over and over again on every account that you've got.
Well, it's just cheaper than
Even accounts you
subscribing
don't have. And
All right.
I don't do that. Yeah.
Moving on to the actual questions then. So this was the top voted question on the thread this week. Diddle says, can players have the ability to disable account recovery for their accounts? I spoke to Mod Infinity in Player Sport about this, and he's given me a big answer. I'll try to skim through this as much as possible. There are no plans to allow players to disable account recovery, even on an opt-in or temporary basis. There are a few issues with such a feature. That would take a lot of time to go into detail, but in short, a hijacker could misuse the system by disabling account recovery, so an account they've hijacked, meaning the original owner wouldn't be able to get back in. We receive hundreds of contacts from players who want us to bypass their bank PIN delay, remove authenticator, remove permanent Iron Man status, etc. Just going to show that sometimes players choose something that might be permanent or with a delay, but then months later they want it removed. Finally, there's no real need to disable account recovery provided you keep your information secure and don't share your account, rather. You have nothing to worry about. Our trained specialists can detect fake recovery attempts and will only return an account when they're provided with exceptionally strong early account information. Hey.
To add on to that as well, I had a meeting this week with the head of player support and all the people responsible for account security, and we're going to start working together to get some enhanced security features going in and some other bits and bobs as well. There's a whole suite of stuff we want to do. It's going to take some time because there's a lot of technical work needs to happen, but we're going to start working with them on that, along with RuneScape as well. So the product manager from RuneScape's involved, and we'll do more stuff to make things better.
Cool. I think they just recently, maybe they're still doing it, they did an AMA on our Reddit as well, Player Support did. So if you have any questions, you can probably find the answers in there. Moving on. Boulder Falcon says, several Q&As ago you were talking about potential updates to Prifddinas. The Elven lands are absolutely beautiful and offer almost no incentive to go back due to their content being almost solely based on quests. Can we have a reason to spend more time there?
Does Zorva count?
No.
Okay.
What can we do in the Elf lands?
I think Ash had this idea.
We've thrown a few ideas back and forth about Prifddinas, but there's nothing solid yet. We're quite busy at the moment with Inferno and Fossil Island, but I think we've said we'd like to do something there one day.
Yeah.
We've talked more about Menethos and Prifddinas.
So we could do. We could make a place there that you can go, and if you pay sort of like this monthly fee, it could heal you for free. Call it National Elf Service. I thought that was fun.
So realistically speaking,
Moving on.
That's kind of one of the giant updates to put into perspective. So, we kind of base the year off of massive updates, and we've only got room for so much, unfortunately. So we've got the Infernal Fossil Island, etc. So realistically speaking, this isn't something we can even consider for.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to
long
rush
time.
it. If we were to do it, we'd want to do it right. It would need the time to do it properly.
And something good in it. Like, if we take you to Prifddinas and put a city in there, I'm sure that, the guys can make a beautiful elf city in. However, apart from walking around it and looking at the scenery, you might want to do stuff. And that can also take quite a lot of time to make content worth going there for, apart from the pretty scenery.
Yeah, I'd like to see the players come up with ideas what they want to see it change with, because we hear a lot about how we should make something better or do something to make somewhere more of a location to go to. But I'd like to hear lots of ideas from the players, come up with designs and do stuff. That's the most exciting stuff, especially on Reddit as well when they post their ideas on there. It's better than 90% of the posts we get on there, those ideas. So
Shots fired.
Please, yeah, absolutely. To be honest about Reddit, every morning about 6 months ago, I used to wake up and every morning one of the first things I did was log on to Reddit, see what drama was happening overnight, and just don't bother anymore because it's just 2 pages of memes.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's good.
anyway, there you go.
It's
That's
improved.
my thing.
Yeah, well done, Reddit.
But yeah. If you've got ideas, please do tell us, post them. We love reading them. We can't do them all. I mean, we'd love to do them all, but yeah, please do keep posting them because we love reading them.
Right. Hitman says, can Mod Ghost please showcase his gargoyle boss that he's worked on in his spare time? So this is something that's come up, player suggestion actually, and I think we've said Mod Ghost was actually working on it. I asked him today, and I think he said it's not so much a finished product as people think. I don't think he's had the time to completely polish it. Do you know? Okay. So I don't think it's the case of he actually has something finished and we can just put it into the game. I think it's more of just a concept.
Unless he's taken up programming in his spare time and not told any of us,
Yeah.
I very much doubt there'd be something to actually play with in game.
Maybe tweet Mod Ghost if you want to see what he has done from that. I'm not sure. The Scream says, can the Gilded Defender work with the Master Emote clue scroll, that requires a Slayer helmet, Dragon Battle Axe, and Dragon Defender? The colored Slayer helmet already works with it.
I think that would actually be inconsistent with quite a few of the other cosmetic override things we've got out there. But we've managed to go back and change one of the other things to accept an alternate form of an item. I think I can remember how I did it. Those stash units are really quite hard to update once they've already been launched because they store the data in different ways based on whether there's going to be multiple items or not to be efficient. And changing it retroactively is really quite a fiddly job. Anyway, we've done it before, and I don't think we goofed up, so we can probably do it again.
Right. Fluffiness. I think we might have an image for this one. It says, can we have the fountains from Xanaris in our play-around house, as well as some of the plantable mushrooms in flower hotspots?
I like that idea. I do like that.
Hang on, the fountains.
Yeah, the Xanaris room. Some sort of Lost City 2 quest that unlocks the room.
Yeah.
That allows you to...
Even more weird NPCs that
We
say
have
weird
actually got
things.
the fancy garden with the Xanaris theme in it. And they've got the mushrooms. I think they'd like a fountain in the middle to be the centrepiece to go with it.
Can we have it so those little choir people appear?
That's what I was thinking,
Dear
yeah.
God, no.
More of those. Who wrote the dialogue for those? They
Mod
say some
Greg.
weird things.
Mod Greg.
Don't remember him.
He wrote the Fairy Tale quests part 1 and 2, and the God Wars dungeon, and the original Skill Cape launch. Lovely chap. He was working on Clan Wars when he resigned to spend more time with his family and has not been seen again. Sounds like he's
Families
working in
will do
Cambridge
that too.
somewhere around here, though.
Maybe he makes buns and things now.
They're saying elf
Hot
butler.
dogs.
They want the choir
the butler.
NPCs to be a butler, or?
Well,
That's
they
elf.
might want an elf butler for their house.
Right.
Although the choir NPCs as a butler would be horrible.
I was thinking that's interesting.
Well, you could set them on people you don't want in your house, couldn't you? As they come in, they just sort of attach themselves to people.
You know how when you go through the fairy ring, there's a chance of a creature pretending it's followed you, which can be your butler. We went to quite a lot of effort to pretend your butler follows you out through the fairy ring and runs away. If we did it with that choir, it would just look normal in Xanaris because that choir turns up there anyway.
Yeah, can we clarify that that's not a bug? We still get reports about it.
The QA team would like it to make it clear that the NPCs that pretend they follow you through a fairy ring and run away in Xanaris, that is not a bug. So
Keep reporting it.
in fact, it did not just accidentally happen that we added a chance of a creature spawning pretending it's running away from you. We've gone to a lot of trouble to make that happen, in fact. But sure, the QA team receives all your bug reports, and you know where to find them.
Moving on. Kane says, when interacting with traps that failed to capture a hunter animal, can we get a right-click relay trap option?
I think that came up last week, didn't it? We like the idea pretty fine, I think, but haven't had a chance to do anything with it since.
Okay. Also, could we get a make all option added to gold jewelry?
If we got the chance to do the make all option across the game, something that players have shown support for, then that would be one of them.
Okay. Moving on, Erowan says, could there please be a Kurask option, however you say those, They're one of the few monsters that don't have one yet. Extension. Did I say option? I say
No
extension.
extension.
An optional extension, I'm sure.
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 Don't see why not.
They've got an
Easy enough.
extra area there with a task-only section with a troll called Jelly up there. So hopefully capacity will be all right.
Mage says,
What's
we
up?
have...
Sorry, someone's spamming Aussie servers. They're still
Every
working on them. I put out a tweet, I have to think, what was it? Sunday it might have been, was somebody asked about Aussie servers. They are being worked on. They're continually being worked on. The latest update I had was that we thought we had them all up and running, but we needed to get some new routers out to Australia to do it, and getting new routers over there with the engineers to get them all set up to work properly takes time. So things are happening. Things will continue to happening. You will get them one day, and the guys are working on them. So we'll get there. Early August maybe.
Routers or routers?
I did like your tweet on
routers.
Sunday, by the way. It's worth looking up. You guys.
I like my tweet from yesterday. Well, a guy I used to play with 10 years ago, he contacted me through Twitch and just sent me a picture that I posted of me getting a 65 farming in the very old screen with, I just superimposed myself in the garden on it.
Aw.
Which is quite cool. I thought I'd lost that picture forever, but he tweeted me with it. He messaged me on Twitch last night, that picture from about 10 years ago. So that was quite cool. Spelldock's his name was. I think he was ranked 3 at one point. We called him Slappy, just because we couldn't be bothered to spell Spelldocs. So it was Slappy, and we called him. There we go. Anyway, hi if you're watching. He was Australian.
You got
I
the
think.
cool story, Bobs. Mage says, can we have the ability to use multiple torn prayer scrolls to boost the preserve prayer? Basically, use one like you do now to get the 20% preserve prayer, then use 2 to get 40%, 4 to get 60%, etc., eventually up to 100%.
Sounds a bit complicated. If they want it buffing, why don't we just buff it?
And yet, with the numbers they gave there, we could do that fairly easily in the code. Yeah, they chose different numbers, much harder, but those ones are good.
Worst idea I've ever heard, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's not getting a huge amount of support there, is it?
It's not getting any
all right
support.
then. I'll be
How
very
about
happy
if you
with
say
that.
yes, you'll get a crack the clue hint.
How about we check out how many torn prayer scrolls he has?
Which one they want more?
Okay. Iron Man says, can we see cockroaches added back into the game? Cockroaches added back into the game, great mid to high level monsters would be huge for free to play.
The chat says yes to adding cockroaches into game. That's definitely what they're saying yes to.
Yeah.
They also say drink water.
I liked cockroaches when they were in game, so I think it'll be a good thing to have.
I like them too, but mostly because I wanted the charms they dropped.
That's true, actually. That's a good point, thinking about it.
Which,
They were a decent level to attack, which is what was a good thing to do. It's
They
nice, it's a
were bang.
grindable place. So I
Good on the
I'd
coins
quite
too,
happy.
as I recall.
Yeah, I'd probably have them in a different, introduce them differently.
Really?
But I think that sort of monster was good.
The Stronghold of player safety was a little patronising, as I recall.
Yeah.
which rune items did they drop?
I don't remember about that, I just remember stacks of cash on the floor.
Okay.
Actual cash rather than alchable.
I think it's Rune Sim. Interesting. Okay. Unsigned says, can it be possible to get lower tiers of diary armors back after high tier is completed?
We need to rewrite a lot of the item checks on them, but I'm sure that would be fine. And we'd also need to change what ops are on them so that you could, have the lower tier item without losing access to the features that you probably still want.
Hero says, Bando's God Sword to 50% special attack. Currently, it's the only God Sword that isn't at 50% special attack.
So why is it not at 50% special attack? I suppose
We brought
is the
it down
question.
to
65.
60. Yeah.
60, it came out higher, and in, I think, poll 32, we offered to reduce it to 65%, and we did. And, man, there it is.
Yeah.
Basically, just they want a budget Dragon Warhammer.
But the chat don't seem to be a fan, really.
Yeah, I do get the feeling that if we'd poll it, it would not pass.
It's a big gap between the Bando's God Sword and the Dragon Warhammer, so it'd be kind of shortening that gap. But is that something that's needed?
If their main rationale is these three are at that number, why isn't that one at that number? Make it the same for consistency. That's consistency of the weapons energy cost is not necessarily the most important thing.
Indeed.
What matters is what the weapon does, what you do with it, and it's not like the thing's on zero value.
Okay. Question in the chat from Orange saying, "Are you going to buff the Din's Bulwark? It is so rare but pretty useless."
I think that the initial thought when we first came up with that idea was that it would be useful for future bosses going forward. It gives us a new option, doesn't it?
It's not completely useless.
I think might be a thing to go forward with is, maybe the next iteration of Raids, should we do it, might be a good use for Din's Bulwark in that. Might be an interesting idea.
Are we deliberately not hinting anything about whether it is or isn't useful in the Inferno?
I don't know, is it? I have no idea.
Well, I'm sure they'll have fun finding out.
Yeah.
How many times have you completed the Inferno?
Well, I've done it 412, but I've never done it with Din's Bulwark. To be fair, it might help with the bit with, the thing that does that and...
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
That might help with that bit. In fact, I might try that when I go back upstairs, because that actually is quite a good idea.
See, right now we're throwing them in a loop between Panic Buy and Panic Sell. Okay.
Well, they're panicking.
Moving along. Ed Hicks says, "Can we get high scores for boss kill counts?"
Quite as web work. I think we'd like it ourselves, though.
Well, very much so on both
It's
points.
definitely on their radar.
Yeah, I know web. The problem with the web team is they're very short-staffed, but they are recruiting, so hopefully we can get that solved throughout this year and maybe have a bit more success next year with what's going on.
And that would also let us tidy up perhaps what's going on with the clue scrolls on the high scores, because how they came out wasn't ideal.
Yeah, indeed.
And I've got a very nasty feeling that we'd end up with the boss high scores kind of interspersed randomly around them in no nice order, which we cannot control.
Yeah.
Seeing some
For the same
spam
reason.
about, seeing some spam about Dead Man changes. We will get there. I'm going to cover all that shortly. I don't know, a few questions later. Lucas says, "Can we please look at Blast Furnace on self-operated worlds? Currently the pipes break way too often and it's a huge XP waste for anybody who has to fix it. Over half of the experience and more if you fix it every time. Most of the time it doesn't get fixed, everybody suffers. If we're paying the dwarves 60k an hour, can we have them fix the pipes?"
We did pitch that as pay for the dwarves to pump the thing, pedal the thing, and stoke the thing. We never said anything about fixing the thing that you can't really be griefed by. All it needs is someone to click on it. But, I get that they don't want to stop doing the high XP activities to go and click on the thing for everybody's benefit. So perhaps if we were to put the price up a little more, they could afford another dwarf.
Yes, that makes sense.
I find it to be a funny irony, all that, really. No one wants to fix it because they deem it XP waste, but because no one's fixing it, you actually lose more XP. So they're just sort of shooting themselves in the foot, really.
Yeah.
The thing about those dwarves is that they're unusually large dwarves because a normal-sized dwarf, dwarf-sized dwarf, can't reach the pump and perform the animations.
That's true, I remember you saying.
Yeah, so the only thing I could think to do was put in human-sized people to be the dwarves, pumping and shoveling and pedalling, and make them very fat humans so that proportionally they look a bit like the dwarves. And they're dressed a bit like the dwarves, and they've got the same kind of beards dwarves commonly do. So, at a glance, they just look a bit like fairly chunky dwarves. They've got some dialogue about it too.
What's the examine option?
I actually can't remember, but the dialogue, if you ask them why they're comment that they're quite large for dwarves, they explain it's a genetic condition and they're very sensitive about it. And shut up.
All right. Hone Solo says, "Can we have a last destination option for charter ships?"
See why they'd want it. Seems sensible.
Yeah.
Whether doable
Yeah.
is yes.
All right.
I hate the code on that thing. Actually, no, I fixed the code on that thing. It might be a lot better. Yeah, I had to do something in there before. I forget what I think I was fixing some book benefit, but yeah, the code's actually not so bad as it used to be anymore.
Apart from Deadman, somebody spamming no. Give a reason. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Lonely says, "Redistribute the supplies available in the Nightmare Zone shop to other monster drop tables throughout the game, and then remove those supplies from the Nightmare Zone shop."
I think they were put there originally to combat botting, weren't they?
In 2013, when the support team didn't have anywhere near the tools they have these days for getting shot at bots.
I think with the advance that have been made, I think it'd probably be okay to remove them. I mean,
Yeah.
Nightmare Zone is not short on its benefits. I don't think anyone would cry if we took a few of them away.
Oh, I'm sure they all cry.
Well, someone will always cry, but
I didn't say that would have to stop us.
I don't know, it motivates us.
and the chat's now just saying remove Nightmare Zone. So I mean, I guess there's like different levels there.
Should we pull that?
We have a jar on the Nightmare Zone thing to put your thing in, don't you?
There
Money.
is a jar to put your thing in,
Yes.
your money in, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Can we have a jar next to it just full of tears? Well,
Yeah,
we've
this
done
was
it.
an idea last week, yeah. All right. Eeltan says, can players have the ability to place more types of armor stand in their player-owned house skill hall? From trimmed mithril on a myth stand to stuff like God Rune on a gilded/trimmed rune stand.
Used to be that you could only have 7 hotspots, and 3 of them could have 7 varieties, the other 4 could have 3 varieties. I had a bit of a go at it, and now you can have 8 hotspots, and all of them can have 31 varieties.
That works then.
So, yeah, provided they don't mind there being either one more hotspot added, or the existing ones get a lot more options, we can do it either way. Or both. And
Okay.
yes, 31. It's a handy number for programmers, trust me.
Tried Tammy says, can you please look into the fact we need a new best in slot one-handed crush weapon? People are using the Hasta to crush when it's a stab weapon, suggesting the Elder Mace.
Having a ability to have a new weapon in always seems to me that's something we should stick into the
Yeah.
back of a decent bit of content.
So when we go to release a new boss, let's say we were to make a Slayer boss or something, like the Gargoyle boss, and we wanted to consider, well, what can this thing drop? We look at the gaps in weapons and all that, and then suggestions and all that. And this sounds like something that we'd probably say,
Yeah.
let's consider this.
So it's not a case of should we put it in, but how should we put it in?
Yeah,
What piece
where
of
can
content do we
where can
attach
come
it to?
from?
They don't seem to be in a massive rush for us to do so.
No.
Hello, bludgeon, that's two-handed. Granite Warhammer, Granite Mace, yeah, I don't know. Some people don't like the idea, there you go. Matoy says, this is a tricky one, but I didn't want to reword it because they don't like it when I do that. Could the way special attacks and their styles be changed to how you would imagine it to be?
Come again?
I think I know what he means.
Currently, if you spec with a Godsword on Crush, you roll your Crush accuracy versus the slash defense of the opponent, which means if you are using it to something weak to Crush, you're actually worse off specking on Crush as it's less accurate than slash.
Yes, okay.
I think I get it now.
Yeah. See, it's the way most of the special attacks are from the earliest days of RuneScape. Obviously, we can't really know what the developers intended back then, and they're no longer around to ask. In fact, Mod Greg was one of them on the God Swords. But a lot of them were written where it just takes your accuracy, the one you've been using for all your other attacks, might buff it up a bit, 15% bonuses, 25% bonuses, but it's still based on the style you had selected from the side panel. And then it rolls it against the defense of the target, which, as like as not, it will specify like slash defense, crush defense. So you might end up, like the player describes, rolling your crush accuracy against the slash defense, and that's not always advantageous. The answer I gave the player when they tweeted me this question was, firstly, if you want it on the stream, phrase it however you like and send it to Mod Archie. I see the player has indeed done so. And to be honest, I'm not sure how I'd have phrased it either, so fair play. And also, it would depend on, the individual cases of each weapon, whether this was a good change or a bad change or an OP change or a stupid change, and that perhaps the player might like to look a bit more into it for the various weapons that might be affected if we went and changed it globally.
Sounds like something I would really like personally. It makes sense.
I'm in favour because it makes sense, and I think we wouldn't run into a lot of situations where it went kablooey on us. But there's a difference between me thinking it's all right and doing it to the game just to see.
Right. So this is after a conversation, I believe, last week or the week before, where Mod Kieran said he'd like to, I think it was Kieran, so he'd like to look at some of the drops that Zulrah has and remove things like maybe raw sharks. So,
in the context of that, he was talking about and putting something else in its place, I believe.
Right. So Theo says, if you're going to remove raw sharks from Zulrah's drop table, could you at least look at buffing the amount of sharks you can catch with higher fishing levels? So apparently a test was done comparing 76 fishing to 99, and the difference was only 21 additional sharks. They want this difference to be greater, and same for woodcutting.
That's 21 per hour.
Sorry?
21 additional sharks per hour.
Yeah.
Does not seem a lot, though. He's got a fair point. Now, what's the base you catch per hour? I suppose that's what you need to sort of understand what
Well,
that
it depends on
21
the level.
means.
Apparently it's...
So if you're sitting at 99,
I think it was like 113 and 134 or something like that.
so it's an increase of 20%
Yeah.
from 76 to 99.
That's a lot of XP.
Yeah,
Should it
does seem a bit odd.
We'll have to ask Lottie to get us some nice data on all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they're not wanting it to be done in the form of a nerf at the lower levels, ramping up to the rate they're used to at the higher levels.
Yeah.
They're probably asking for it to stay as it is at the lower level and ramp up to something much higher at
Yes,
99.
indeed, yeah.
At which point the number coming into the game from it might be a little different.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And we probably ought to have a look at where all the sharks are coming from as well. Let's make sure we're basing it on facts as well, which I don't think we can do yet because we don't have the drop log in game yet. There's
I'm
a
sure.
thing which engine need to do to push out to the data warehouse about what drops what.
Lottie was able to get us data on where all the death runes and lore runes come
Oh,
from.
good. They might have solved that then.
In fact, we relied on that for today's update.
Okay, so I
So
can
with
do
any
that,
luck,
that's
it covers whatever sharks are as well.
Yeah. I know we were looking at doing it. I didn't know if it got done or not, but quite possibly has.
Worth looking at other resource gathering skills, mining, woodcutting, etc. Mod Rai, would you like to head over after this next question?
Yeah, can do.
Cool. So that's the Inferno sneak peek. Returning says, can you increase the number of cave horrors per spot? They die so fast.
Of what, sorry?
Cave
Horrors.
Yeah.
You know, didn't we already do that?
They're killing them even quicker now, apparently.
We may not have done it as much as we could have done at the time. To be honest, I've always thought they were a bit too sparsely mapped.
Yeah. There you go. Answers yes.
Okay. Do you want to head over then?
Cool.
We will get a couple more questions out as he's setting up. So,
I was just thinking they seem to have misheard the word horrors. It's not quite what you heard there.
Matto says, why is the Tangleroot drop rate from Tithe Farm still 1 in 2.6 billion experience? That's 27,500 hours.
Why? Because we've never changed it.
Also, since Tithe Farm is something you can do while your other patches be growing, we didn't want to be too generous there because you're doing it you can be doing it in addition to other farming.
There you go.
We may have been pretty conservative there, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. How upset would you be if you had a Tangleroot pet and then we go and nerf this substantially and then suddenly many more people have it?
Yeah. It would upset
I don't think we
people.
want to make any
consider.
substantial changes. If we did make any, it would only be very slight.
Right.
And in the chat, Iron Cub points out that that's not quite the case.
Okay. Are we ready to head over to Mod Rai then? We're good? Let's do it. Sneak peek of the week. Oh,
Hello again.
and we're back.
Scuff stream.
So, well done, Modry.
It's a good job I didn't do
Great
anything to be interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that was crack the
Yeah.
clue.
Did you all miss that?
All right,
Chat,
well, I
loving it.
guess
There's PogChamps all over the
they're
place.
still
That was
setting
the
up, so we'll get
best
through
sneak
another
peek
question.
ever.
Yeah.
Ood says, can you upload the Wednesday streams to YouTube? So I wanted to answer this specifically because not every single Wednesday we do something as interesting as what happened last night.
What happened last night?
You did a stream,
Oh, that stream. Sorry.
right?
I remember going to the
So
pub
I think
afterwards.
a lot of the time it's pertaining to the update that's coming out on the Thursday. So if we did upload the stream from 9 p.m. when the next update is 12 p.m. the next day, it's only really going to be relevant until the update.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody just gets to see the content in game. So it's not to say that it's not still an entertaining hour of stream or however long it is. It's probably worth still throwing on YouTube. But not every single one. Sometimes Mod Ronin will hop in and do some Castle Wars with you guys or anything like that. And that stuff maybe I wouldn't say is as necessary to throw up, but I think we can start uploading some of this
That's
stuff.
something interesting, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You not watch them back on Twitch at the moment, anyway.
I don't. You can, yeah.
Yeah. So there is that.
Yeah.
Certainly this morning there was a button saying click here to see the last broadcast. I haven't really looked much further.
Mason says, can we get a check option for daily teleports, Alex, recover run energy, prayer points for diary items and diary/skill capes? There we go.
Sorry, I lost it
check.
there.
There's a lot of slashes in there. Can we get a check option for daily tellies/Alex/run recover energy/prayer points for diary items and diary/skill cape?
So to check how long until they reset? Is that what
I'm
he's asking?
guessing they
To let
just
you
want
know.
all of this in one location, because obviously you can already check all of this stuff on the relevant items.
Mostly, when it comes to
Where would they
teleports,
want that location to be?
Well, also, when it comes to teleports, usually it will tell you how many you've got after you've used one. And they might want to know up front without having to go there to find out.
They might want like a toggle for something that once you log in, it's a message that you receive. I don't know.
I could see uses for something on the options thing that just pops up a side interface listing the current state or something.
Regardless, not a lot of support for that, unfortunately. Anyways, we are good to head over to the sneak peek of the
Don't know why
week,
not.
so let's do that now.
Yo, so, So I'm going to be showing you 4 of the lowest kind of level NPCs in the Inferno. I'm only going to be showing the model and the ready animation, which is basically their kind of idle one where they're not doing anything. Kind of just because I don't want to spoil any of the NPC's mechanics, so yeah. So here we are with the first one. This is the one that I put on Twitter a few weeks ago. This is the Nibbler, or the Gel Nib. And if we get his... I can show his walk one though, because we've already still... There we go. It's kind of like a leech type thing with some pincers. Gets your ankles. It's all good. So there's that guy, and... Which is the next one? This is the Gel Measurer, which is kind of similar to the Torture from Pest Control. That's kind of where I've got most of my inspiration for that from. It's kind of like an evolved version of the Nibbler. Got wings, he flies about. And then the next one is the Gel Ak, which you may be familiar with in some way. It's kind of based on the lava beast from the Fight Caves. You know, the one that splits up into 2 different ones. Got a similar mechanic, but I'm only going to be showing you the big one. And there's his red yak. There we go. Kind of blobs about with his big shell on his back. And then the last one, which I've been working on today, is the... Where is him? The Gymcot. Is it Gymcot? Imcot? I don't know how you pronounce it. It's basically a big snake. Where is he? There he is. There you go.
That is a weak clap. Wow.
Yeah, sorry, I was.
That was impressive.
Better.
Yeah, good.
This is my
You're gonna head back over, Madurai. They seemed to all be terrified, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think every one of our players is is afraid of snakes in some regard. Probably why Skill Specs doesn't get any viewers, but you know.
All right, moving on. Maja says, can we prevent people from dropping items in combat? Maybe add a 10-second delay like the PJ timer.
We've had this before, haven't we? We discussed about whether people could drop things in combat should they want to drop it.
Yeah. So it's now a bigger problem because of shift click to drop. So essentially, if you're in a fight with somebody and you know you're going to lose, and maybe you're closer to a bank or a teleport, you can just take all of your items off, shift click drop in like a few seconds, run back and pick it all back up.
We polled something along these lines not too long ago.
unsurprisingly, that didn't go anywhere. You know, I always prefer, rather than saying you can't do it under any circumstances, because for the next 10 seconds, the something based on what RS3 did in about 2011 was if you dropped an item and it was tradable, then you could drop it just fine, but anyone could see it immediately. Now, there's reasons not to do that to just any item, though, because in the case of food and brews and your potions and all that, that would be a very quick way to restock somebody who's otherwise in combat by just dropping food around for them to pick up instantly. And we wouldn't want that. But we would be able to distinguish between whether an item is, you know, a consumable food like this or something more like an AGS, and make them behave differently so that some were visible to everyone immediately and others were visible only to their original owner. Would affect, of course, people trying to, you know, being able to scavenge for free food on the ground, but, you know, that wasn't the most precious part of the gameplay.
Would we be able to separate PvP and PvM with this? Because it's only a problem in PvP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe worth considering then.
Well, that's the thing. If you're in combat and we say you can't drop anything for the next 10 seconds and you kill a monster, you see some loot, you decide, actually, I want that loot, I'll just clear some space so I can pick it up, put it in a looting bag or something. You can't. You've got to wait 10 seconds before you can drop anything to make space to pick up these things. By which time there's a reasonable chance the monster's come back or something else has turned up.
One guy noticed, Ash does this like every time we do a sneak peek. He flips the DSIM around. One guy noticed. Well done.
You have to get your fun where you can in this line of work.
All right, so Gnome says, when's the new Deadman blog? And I thought this would be a good opportunity to go over some of the ideas that we discussed when the streamers were all here. We talked a lot of Deadman and we decided on many things that we'd like to see potentially added into the game. I say potentially because I'm adding a giant disclaimer saying not all of this is guaranteed, more or less just things that we were very interested in and we're going to pursue to see if we can make them happen. But again, it's not all guaranteed to happen this next season or anything, but right. So one of them was no XP lost on death if unskulled. Not going to go through the reasoning either. Get skulled when attacking someone that is skulled and you are not. So you'd get a short skull, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Faster rebuild rate for experience, potentially upwards of to 50%, or sorry, 50 times rather. Limit of experience per day. Have to decide where to spend that XP, of course. So yeah, that'd be only combat stats, and it would be shared for melee, or combined rather for melee. Let's just say, for example, that was 1 million experience per day. You could choose, I'm going to put that into my melee stats, I'm going to put that into my magic, my range. Everything else you could still go and train as you please, and Slayer is not a combat skill. That requires a lot of balancing. It's just an example. Stop safe spot pickpocketing. That's one we need to look at the data. Apparently that's super botted, so we need to see how many genuine players are actually doing that. Prevent spells like Entangle from being cut in half due to Protect from Mage. So, you know, making the normal spellbook better. Grace period of 1 minute on kills against reasonable combat levels and up. You would not be able to attack others. If you did, your grace period would be lost. So that's to say, if I'm getting attacked by a bunch of people and I kill one of them, I could then escape, pick up the stuff. All quests unlocked later on, as we did this previous season. We saw a lot of success with that. You guys liked that. We'll do it again. Remove barrows entirely, except for the final week. And add a safe zone to Zaya, probably the castle. So, did I say clan? Whatever, clan. Jeez. Essentially, those are the biggest ideas that we came up with. Again, not everything's guaranteed to happen next season, but we do want to make some big changes and make sure everything isn't repetitive. Keep things different for you guys and entertaining throughout the entire season. Keep it as alive as possible for the whole month.
A safe zone on Zaya seems like a reasonable thing to have. I mean, it's a whopping great big place without one. And I know when we launched Zaya, well, we considered it and thought it wasn't obvious where we'd put one. Yeah. But since then, it's acquired a castle, which helps rather a lot.
Castle safe zone is always good.
Right. Moving on to the questions then. Edward says, you have to start Desert Treasure before you can receive a Dust Devil task. Can this requirement be removed?
Very easily, although removing requirements hasn't always gone down so well in the past. I think we offered to... it's the same deal with, Priest in Peril. To get the Mauritania creatures assigned, you have to have done Priest in Peril, which does exclude quite a few people. And then we added some of the creatures, in the Gnome Stronghold and other places, and people said, well, we can take the requirements off because you no longer need to go to Mauritania to get these tasks. And I think we offered, but the response was really quite negative. So maybe this one won't be so controversial because the requirements are a bit different for doing that bit of Desert Treasure.
Judging by all the no's in there, I think...
there's a reason we didn't do this before.
Every stream this guy asks me what shoes I'm wearing. I don't know, but they're very comfortable.
That looks like a Nike logo.
See, I say Nike, they say Nike.
It's Nike.
Nike. I also say Adidas, you say Adidas.
Yeah, well,
right.
You're Canadian.
Okay. Let's grab another one from the chat, actually. Duke says, can you make it so you can choose what hit points the Ring of Life will activate under?
I would love to see somebody go and set it to, their max.
I can see why they'd want to do it. I think we spoke about it briefly when we were suffering from the DDoS stuff 2 years ago, whatever. We didn't do it, but I mean...
It came up as...
I can see why people would want it.
Yeah, as a reward from something. So a more expensive version of the Ring of Life, which you could perhaps set it to like 20% of your health, something like that. Obviously beneficial to hardcores.
Ring of Life through something or other.
Yeah.
Can you already imbue it?
No. Ring of Life insurance.
Yeah. Moving on. Nat says, will the Xerix amulet and the Burning amulet be added to the Ornate jewelry box?
If stuff's being added there, then either, since people already have the jewelry box, either it has to turn up for everyone who's got one already, which isn't ideal in the case of Xerix thingy, or we'd have to add it as a further upgrade beyond the top tier that you can currently have, which I got no problem with, but the level would be pretty high.
Okay. We're just burning through my questions today. I'm going to keep grabbing some from the chat. Corruption says, can we have separate the music and the level up jingles? Right.
What?
Can we separate the music and the level up jingles? Would that make more
Do you
sense?
think he might mean volume controls?
I think that's what he means.
You put a have in there. There shouldn't be a have. Whatever.
So in
Very
the
tricky
game, there's
today.
this settings menu on the interface. If you go in there, you can actually change volumes and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
but
he's saying that
Those were separate.
level up jingles and music are both just on the same.
Oh, they're both
Well,
on the music one.
yeah, 'cause
So
they
move the
are both
level
music.
up jingle to sound effects.
Yeah, that seems like what the
Okay.
suggestion is.
I suspect they'd like a new slider rather than having it bundled with the sound effects one.
I guess the problem there is, where do you stop? You do that, they'll start asking for other slides, and before you know it, you'll open that options menu and just...
Oh, that's where we got already when we installed the tabs, but more pressingly, where we start is by going to the engine team and asking for that. And there's a lot of stuff I'd rather have from the engine team than that. I'm sorry.
More questions in chat. I think I remember Ian answering this and saying it wasn't too difficult of a job. That was adding in more options for the music sliders.
I'm sure it's not.
Yeah. It is an engine job, though, is it?
Yes, the engine currently treats music as music and does not distinguish whether it's music that plays a nice long song or music that plays a short jingle.
Right. The level up message interrupts songs and resets them.
Yes, it does.
Is that a bad thing?
Well, that
Guess
might
so.
be a reason for someone to want to turn off the level up jingles,
Okay.
which we could do with a toggle at our end by just not playing them.
Moving along. John Wilson says, rare drops from Superior that is basically each of the Slayer braces but can hold way more charges.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Can you repeat the question?
No.
How many more?
Slayer
Way
charges?
more.
Has a lot more charges than the Slayer bracelet
Yeah,
things.
yeah, that's what I thought.
I forget what the cap is on those things, or whether it could be higher, but I'd have imagined it could just be higher.
I suppose. I mean, the big question with all these sort of things is why and how. Because I mean, one of the biggest things that we suffer from is finding new rewards for things which you guys want. So, if somebody comes up with an idea of making something better, well, the first thing that goes through my mind is, okay, what can we put it to make it a good reward for something? What extra content can we use for that? So, yeah.
Also, giving something for nothing versus giving something in exchange for the players, doing some gameplay, paying a lot of coins,
Yeah.
all the fun things we can do.
Yeah.
Some requests for updated special attack sounds and all that. Are we able to request stuff from the audio guys?
So, Mod Bond kindly had a look and found that he does indeed have the tool that makes sound effects for Old School.
Ooh.
However, the one they particularly want isn't just any sound effect. It's not a more interesting kind of whistle for ambient bird noises in the woods. It's the Dragon Claws sound from back in the day. Trouble is that by the time of Dragon Claws, a lot of sound effects that RuneScape got were not the old synthesized things that Old School's using. They were actual recorded sound effects, many of them bought from the libraries. And Old School doesn't know how to process those and play them to you. All it knows is its old synth things. Now, you might ask, why in the heck did RuneScape have a custom sound effect format back in the old days? Well, in 2004, when RS2 came out, remember there were still people playing on dial-up modems. They were trying to keep the download size really small and not, bog you down with a gigabyte worth of sound libraries just on the off chance you played this particular sound effect at some point. So Andrew, in his genius, created a very, very efficient format that seems to work by actually cobbling together waveforms. So in the tool, you specify, I want a square wave, I want a saw wave, I want a sine wave, white noise, cobble them together with different envelopes until you eventually get the sound you want. And Mod Ian, the original sound guy, he's still here. He had a heck of a time dealing with this thing, trying to work out how do I, make something go ding. And he experimented for a long time. He eventually managed it, got a metallic sound, and then spent a lot of time, I gather, stretching it, compressing it, processing it to get all the different armor sounds he ever needed for all the metallic noises in the game. But yeah, that's the format that Old School's using. And I gather making more was really quite time consuming. Plus, the audio team's got rather a lot to do for the other branch of RuneScape. They don't have a Old School team themselves available to take our requests, although they've been jolly nice about doing music for us. What Bod Bond's done for the Inferno, I gather, is amazing.
Yeah.
I was chatting with Ian yesterday, and he was saying how much stuff they still got to do for Menefos music-wise. So they're up against it with that, but some of the stuff they're doing sounds amazing.
We got our Inferno stuff. That's all that matters.
Anyway, so where I was going with that is I don't think we're going to be able to get a synthesized sound that sounds like the Dragon Claws you remember. And I don't think the audio team's got the time to experiment for us in this. For this, I'm sorry.
Okay. Daganeth task extension? Question
Really?
mark.
This is the problem with us saying yes to that earlier task extension. We're now going to ask for all of the
Yeah.
extensions that don't already exist.
Strictly speaking, we gave them an all the task extension when we gave them that bracelet.
There you go. Go get the
Done.
bracelet.
People saying with a tax. What kind of tax? Well, I'm not going to get an answer, am I? That's just a
Yeah.
field of.
Oh, I'm sure you
spam.
get some interesting words.
All right. Superior Slayer mobs in the wilderness. I think we talked about this a while back. I think it'd be really interesting.
Sorry, the what?
The superiors that we do for Slayer.
Yes,
We have the Wilderness Slayer tasks.
Add some more for some of the wilderness creatures.
I don't know of any wilderness creatures, any Slayer creatures that have a superior version that exist in the wilderness off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think that's what they want. They want
Yeah.
more superior Slayer creatures adding for the ones that do
like
exist
a
in the
dark
wilderness.
unicorn
Obviously, they'd also
superior.
exist outside
Yeah.
the wilderness as well.
That sounds awesome.
Two-headed unicorn. With
Two-horned
wings.
unicorn, the bicorn.
Unicorn, yeah. A 3 is tricorn.
That's not a horn for your bike.
Right.
The hornless unicorn.
Ooh, that works. I like that. Hornless
It's a
unicorn.
good idea. I don't know. I mean, the
It'll be a nullcorn, I suppose you'd call it.
Yeah, or the rare two-eyed cyclops.
it's a bad pun stream.
Now they're saying panic buy unicorn.
The Wilderness Slayer update did quite well for the Wilderness. I thought it was a nice little update. For those asking about PvP and Wilderness-related updates, I think we're going to be looking at what we can do there shortly, but again, we're obviously extremely busy. The Wilderness Rejuvenation is on our list of things to look at, though. Again, not promising, just saying, it's something we're considering. Insure pets on drop, but charge 1.5 mil on first reclaim.
So if you do lose your... I don't know, that seems like I can't be bothered to insure my pet.
Well, the thing is, people do occasionally die before they get to the insurance
I
bureau
suppose
because
so, yeah.
when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get it, they're often in a place with a very dangerous monster.
That's true.
Or if
yeah.
he cares. Thing is, not that it needs to make sense because it's RuneScape, but currently it makes sense because you speak to somebody who goes after and retrieves it because she's good with pets, or I don't know. But now, if you suddenly get one, let's say, I don't know, Callisto, you just suddenly have a right-click insure option on the pet? Makes no sense.
Put it on NPC contact.
I don't think you're going to want to be on Luna's just on the off chance that you get a pet drop and you want to call Probiter. What they might be okay with is that you talk to Probiter up front and pay her maybe up front. Say, if I ever get a Callisto pet, please, I want the insurance policy to come into effect at that time.
I like that
And
idea.
then when you finally get it, which, by the way, might charge double up front, then you'd have an insurance policy in place when you finally get the thing. And if you never do get it, well,
You
the money's
never get
come
the
out of the
money
game anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting idea. So we charge 1 mil or even upwards, and you can insure any pet you think you might get. If you never get it, you never get the money back. If you do get it, it's automatically insured, and you don't have to worry about dying with it.
I think we should also, just to make it even more apparent and more useful, is if somebody dies and they lose a pet, we should send a message to everybody in game that they've died and lost a pet,
What?
No.
so everyone can laugh.
I'd love to see this one straw polled, actually, yeah.
We could spawn that choir that follows you around.
I'll let you guys straw poll.
Follows them
So
around singing. You
Singing
lost your
about you
pet.
lost your pet.
again, you're going to have the option to vote on whether you'd like to preemptively insure a pet you think you might get for double.
See,
or
the
even
players
more.
have this evil streak as well.
Oh, we knew they have an evil streak. For what it's worth, when that choir was made back when Greg was working on the rework of Zenaris, when it became blue and full of freaky mushrooms, very freaky mushrooms, the idea had been that the choir would try to detect what you were doing and commentate. So if it saw you were, going to the runecrafting altar, it would talk to you about runecrafting and say you were going runecrafting. And if you were heading to the bank, it would talk about banking, I guess. I mean, Greg didn't have time to make it detect that kind of thing, but from its dialogue, you can still see he was trying to think of things you might be doing and make the choir be relevant to you. I hate that thing.
2 times is too low. Let's see. What do you guys think we should charge for that?
How much is it for a normal pet?
500k.
Oh, is that it? Oh, 10
And then
times.
one
the
more
thing
to
is-
reclaim.
Yeah, you have to then pay $1 million when you want to reclaim it every time. It's an unusual thing, I think, where the deductible
10
and the
mil. 10 mil
premium are so
per
different.
pet. If you never get that pet, you're not going to be very happy. I guess that almost...
If we do this, I know that's what's going to happen. We're going to get people going, I prepaid for my insurance and I didn't get a pet. Can I have my money back?
It's only going to 100% dedicate you towards the grind of getting that pet, and you'll never be satisfied until you do get it. Otherwise, you've wasted 10 mil. Maybe that's not a bad thing.
I think it's fine.
I don't know about
It'd
10
be
mil.
interesting to see how many people would pay 10 mil.
Well, we can certainly have tracking if the feature comes into existence. Unfortunately, asking them up front, I'm not sure we get data we could really rely on.
No, definitely no refunds. Anyways, we've got the results back from the straw poll. Should you be able to insure a pet up front for twice the cost? 79% say yes. It's a strong percentage. I think this is something we can consider polling.
They're not going to want it for the skill pets because, you know, if you manage to lose one of them things before you get to the insurance bureau, you're probably asking for it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Good idea. Moving on. Villa says, give Duradel Dragon Claws. He's the master of Slayer after all.
Okay.
He's got Rune Claws right now. Complete noob.
Maybe he does have Dragon Claws. He's just got them in his inventory.
Little did we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we've got to. I think it's a nice little.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Doesn't hurt anything, does it?
I don't know, people saying no, keep it with Rune. Oh, God.
Well, Slayer Masters carrying blue things is traditional.
Could he have one rune and one dragon?
We could give him...
Just to confuse things.
We could probably do just one red claw on his existing claws.
He has them. He says he has them. Does he have dialogue insinuating he has Dragon Claws?
I don't
think
remember
so,
putting
no.
dialogue on him. It's though it's possible someone's come in and repainted his claws while I wasn't looking.
I don't know. Whatever. Adam says, suggestion, change the look of the charged and uncharged teleport crystals.
Yes.
That seems like a good idea.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, cool.
Oh, we have a straw
We
poll.
have straw polled many options for what you'd like to pay up front to insure a pet. 5 mil sitting at the highest percentage at 40%. 10 mil is all the way down at 20%. So 5 mil seems an appropriate amount.
Yeah.
That's kind of on that border of like too expensive, but also worth it.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Purge says, add a 60 smithing requirement to Blast Furnace Ore Shop and a Mage Arena requirement to the Mage Bank Rune Shop. This is to combat bots.
We've discussed doing similar things in the past, haven't we? Like with anti-dragon shield and the Dragon Slayer requirements and whatnot. And it's not really ever actually gone down very well.
Well, this isn't a quest. Some people just don't like having to do quests.
The thing we've tried to avoid is putting requirements on that Pures can't handle. Now, arguably the Mage Arena isn't the place where you need to be catering to people who won't train frickin' magic. But we avoided doing that thing with the Eagle's Peak quest because there was a thing there that you technically have to fight.
Yeah.
And while I don't see a problem in the slightest about the smithing requirement, the magic one is a bit more iffy.
I think there's a lot of support for the Mage Arena one, actually.
Well, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I think
smithing one is a bit more controversial, I think.
I think we need to get a look at people who use it, and then we can break down who would not normally be using it, and have a look at those accounts. So if it turns out, what we could do is we can look at everybody who's been using that piece of content, and then take the people with less than 60 smithing and have a look at those accounts. And if they're all bots, then there's no reason not to do it. Of course, we can then gauge where that smithing requirement should be based on where normal accounts are using it normally. For example.
Hard to get 60 smithing without that shop on an Iron Man. Like, that's a valid reason, I suppose.
So that's the sort of thing that can come up when we start looking at the accounts that are doing that. And we could also limit it so that you have to have, Iron Men might have a different requirement than other people. Which seems odd, but
People would not like that.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we can look at how we can use that data.
Maybe just
not necessarily
50.
game facing, but also in the detection software as well.
All right, guys. So, as you saw, if you missed, it'll be on YouTube, the Inferno NPCs sneak peek of the week. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, starting tomorrow, you'll be able to buy 3 months membership for the price of 2. That is the summer special. Hop on that. And apart from that, guys, that's about going to conclude.
Dead Man Tournament. There are 8 tickets left.
8?
Or there were 8 tickets left about an hour ago. There might not be 8 tickets left, so if you want to come, hurry up. We will be keeping a list afterwards just in case people drop out. But yeah, there's 8 tickets left in the tournament.
Burbank, California.
Burbank, California.
Or near the area, I think there's like $20 a ticket.
Yes, yeah. But there's so few. Oh, there's 0 now.
What, are we out?
That was quick.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they're all gone. But yeah, we put them on sale Friday, did we? Is that right?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, put them on sale
It was
Friday.
last Q&A, actually. It was last Thursday.
Yeah, so that's Thursday. So they've all gone in a week. If you're interested, I think there's a way to put your name down or get in touch with Chris or Modstone and let them know, and they can add you to a list just in case anybody does drop out or we manage to get some more tickets. The problem with the one in America as opposed to the one in the UK, they have very strict fire requirements, so they're only allowed a certain amount of people in there, and they're going to have there's got to be a fire marshal there who is very strict on limiting the amount of people in there, so we've got to be quite careful. But again, get your names on the list, and we will try and get, if people drop out, we'll try and get you in.
Makes you wonder why we don't need a rule like that in this country.
We do, we just sort of ignore it, I think.
Well, no. You guys do these like really annoying daily fire alarm tests, which we don't do in North
they're
America.
weekly, yeah. No, we do weekly fire alarm
It's just
tests.
so annoying.
Which you have to do, but yeah.
Suddenly, it's like every day at 3 p.m. Suddenly, just the whole building is sirens. Everybody's calm, and I'm just like, why?
Once a week at 3 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm never ready for it. Whatever. Okay, that concludes today's Q&A. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.